Oh, god dang. I am weary, ladies and gentlemen. I am weary. I'm currently recording this podcast in a very rainy Southern Highlands. The Bureau of Meteorology lied. They lied to me. Cold-hearted lied. They said it was going to be upwards maximum of 90 mils. They lied. It is bucketing down here. There is so much water. I've had to spend the day. My boss doesn't know this. Moving sandbags, trying to stop sections of our of our farm from raining, from getting flooded. But it is the nature of the beast. I now have a beer in my hand. My dad is being an absolute gem and making us a steak dinner, and we're going to sit down after this podcast and watch the Women's State of Origin. And I have Nathan Williamson joining me by my side. Nathan, first and foremost, how great was it seeing the future star of Australian rugby get sent off after 7 minutes last night in the men's state of origin?
We'll get him straight in the tackle score. It's fine. Six down to 3, 2 with an equal. So 2 with that tackle score. He'll be fine. He'll be great. He's already putting shots on Queenslanders. That's what we want.
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
Set up that 25 first round, Queensland, New South Wales. Make him just put a hit on someone else. Get us going. Let's go. Get him. If League want to keep making him the villain, we'll take him. He's worth all the coin. Trust me.
Well, I will say that it did make me think to myself, even though, of course, it looked like very nasty in real time, and of course, it meant that Reece Walsh was off for the rest of the game, even though he looks to have cleared his HIA. It did make me take some confidence and enjoyment in the fact that, whenever we do have any issues or qualms with the referee, it's nice to know that it's not just isolated to rugby union. It's also the league can have its moments as well.
It's good sport. And one of those, I remember complaining about some refereeing decision a couple of weeks ago, and someone put, yeah, but that's just every sport. Name a sport that likes the referees. And, we are a referee positive podcast. We've had multiple referees on, and, we are for the officials, but yeah, yes, it's kind of true when you put it that way. It is part of sport to bag the officials, unfortunately, which we have to change. But hey, that's another pod.
It is. It's a one for another pod, and considering how bad it looked at the time, I don't blame the ref for making the call that he did. But here we are. It's dropped kickoff time, and it is time for finals. We are in knockout footy time. Of course, there is no Nick Hartman, there is no Josh Murphy. It's just you and me tonight talking. Chewing the fat and talking the latest news outside of normal rugby circles. And the first big piece of news we should actually acknowledge before we dive in is the Sevens, which I know has thrown your body clock for a loop in typical fashion. It's the beauty of Sevens, but at least we got to see a winning side early in the morning in Madrid.
That is true. And the joy of being a worldwide sport is having to get up at 3:50 a.m. and cover this sort of stuff. But hey, when you're winning, it's so much better. Like when you throw, to sort of take the perspective of people, it sucks as a fan as well when you have to keep writing about it after they've lost. It's 5 a.m., it's 6 a.m. Yeah. You're kind of sitting at the window, it's still dark, and you're like, "What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing here?" Anyway, again, complaints from a man that gets paid to write about sport. I'm a privileged prick. What can I say? But yes.
It's so true, though. It is. That is the one. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just pull this thing up. Look, again, it's the universal rule of every single job's gonna have some bullshit to deal with, and what matters is the crap that you are prepared to deal with, so you can enjoy the good bits. And while we admit we love covering rugby week in, week out, and having a whole bunch of fun with it, yeah, the 6 a.m. after watching a team get flogged, and it's the team that you don't want to win, and you have to write about it. That burns. It burns so badly.
Like no other. It's one of those pains that sits with you for a couple of days. But luckily, this didn't. And hey, what a performance! Let's start with the semi, shall we? Sevens. This semi is why I think Sevens should be so much more popular in terms of just as a sport to watch. I know the time zones suck for a lot of this, but I reckon it's one of the best background sports if you're doing something else. If you want to just sort of have it in the background, always action going on. Game's never done. So, example like this, for context, for those that haven't seen it, Australia, New Zealand, semi-final, 1 and 2 in the world rankings, or the 7 series heading into this grand final. New Zealand up by 2 tries, or I think 12 points. The Aussies just come back, never give up. get that try with 40 seconds to go, then score after the bell. Taya Hines, 21-year-old who was out of the squad for the first 3 events because there's just so much competition in that team. It's ridiculous. Steps up, slots the kick, and, emotional scenes from there. I've not only sort of celebrating the moment, celebrating the time to sort of knock off the Kiwis, the first time they've done so since January, but backing it up to beat a French side that are going to be incredibly dangerous at the Olympics with, 70 and 80,000 people behind their backs. Like, it was the ultimate performance and the ultimate sign of, wait, no, this team is peaking at the right time. We've got a serious gold medal chance in our hands here.
It was a great performance, and I also want to shout out Maddie Levi, who just was phenomenal. Like, it was her show. Yeah, it was her show. She was phenomenal. Would it be too much of a stretch to say that she is the most informed Australian rugby player playing at the moment? Would it be too much of a stretch to say that?
Not even close. And you reference the sort of women's state version off the bat. If she was playing for Queensland, she'd scored 2 tries easily. She's comfortably the best athlete in any of the rugby codes from the female side of the game. She's a freak. All she needs to do, you get her in half space. She's got that freakish combination of size, speed, strength that she just beats the first person and scores instantly. And it's someone that just does it for fun. Like, it's never seems like a chore. It's never trying to getting bored with it and trying something different. She knows her role. She knows her game. And like, she's at stage, she's played 3 seasons and already scored 150 tries. Charlotte Kazac's the only one who hasn't beat her in terms of the current rankings. She's freakish. And she is, the cornerstone to their Olympic campaign. And one point I want to make as well is these past 2 tournaments, the Australian side's gotten better and I think gotten a lot more confident because they've stopped force feeding of the ball, which is weird to say, but a lot of times teams are now rushing up and trying to take the space. The Aussies are now playing well enough that they can just sort of methodically break down sides. She's getting in better positions. She's just gunning people, mate. She is a freak.
Yeah, I'm going to go further and say, like, because we said, like you said, on the women's side of the game, I think just across the whole code entirely, just like, we need to move heaven and earth to keep her here. I'm sorry, it's the reality. She's outstanding, absolutely outstanding.
Amazing athlete and has such good temperament on her as well. Like, you try and get her from a journalist perspective, you're trying to get her to talk to her about her own individual brilliance, because we see these skills, we see the flashy tries, and every single time it is straight back on the team, straight back on what that culture means to her, and she can be a role model for the women's program and just for rugby union for the next sort of 5 to 10 years if you can lock it down.
Absolutely, it definitely bodes well. I mean, it's annoying that the men didn't misfired again, but at the very least, I think it's fair to say that the women are really on a mission to really kind of win back that gold medal at the Olympics. They look hungry. They look really, really keen, and just to see them not just demolish, deconstruct France like that, but also grab that win against the New Zealand Sevens side. It just there's a lot to like there, and again, it alludes to the point of, we should be talking about the Sevens a lot more. It is so much fun, and it is such great rugby, and also generally speaking, our teams are producing great results. At least the women consistently.
It's amazing. Just a couple of points on that. I think in America, basketball, I want to say 2012. It's 2012, 2016. They sent a team over full of stars, and they call it the Redeem Team. I moniker off the Dream Team because of their shortcomings 4 years earlier. This feels like Australia's Redeem Team. There's a lot of those girls, Maddie, both Levi's, I'm trying to think, I think Faith Nathan, these type of players hadn't actually made a World Series appearance. So when they went out in Fiji with all the expectations, not in Fiji, against Fiji in the quarterfinals. So a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure, and they just didn't handle it. This is now a team which is winning games, who has won everything they can win, winning games after the bell, doing it in different ways and getting it done. The other point I'll say is, you touch on those performance, and, they've come 7th. Admittedly, the two games they won is against a team that might not be at the Olympics. They've still got GB still have to qualify essentially alongside South Africa and Spain for one spot. So you look at that and go, are they a chance? I'm telling you right now, they're a chance. They will, again, that's June 6th we're recording. This will go out before that. Oh, no, probably the company before that. But in the next 24 to 48 hours at least, I'll be the first person to tell you they're a medal chance. John Manenti is the type of guy that will get this side right into the right position. They're not being talked about. They're underdogs. They are, written off already. Perfect. That's what he wants. They will get some good super players into that squad. We don't know who yet. It'll sort of depend on who gets picked in that Wallaby squad. But what I would like to see is, Mark Tawasi, a Dylan Peach, Darby Lancaster, get those guys back. I think Corey Toole might be a stretch. I think he probably gets picked for the Wallabies, but you get those guys back. You get John Manenti is a great sort of underdog. When they won that World Series, people I've forgotten quickly that were the Misfits. It was a team of 6 or 7 full-time contracted players. And all of a sudden, before the Olympics, a lot of the hype beyond anything else, don't be surprised that, by the time that quarterfinal is done, before that, which is a day before the Olympic ceremony starts, we've all of a sudden got an Australian side in the semi-final, and a lot of the attention is around them being the first team to bring back a medal for Australia. I say I'll put it out there now, so we can hopefully look back on this in sort of 6 or 7 weeks' time, and I can say I told you so, but something's cooking there. Something's cooking there.
Proper redeemed team. We can call it that. It's
on both ends of it. Like again, there are 2 teams with serious medal chances. Believe me.
Well, speaking of potential prospects and players who might go in, you mentioned Mark Nawanganui Tuase, and this moves us very nicely onto some news that dropped a few days ago, which was the decision of Joe Schmidt to select the first batch of players from Australian sides that are no longer in finals, being the Western Force and the New South Wales Waratahs, who, let's just say, I think they've got a lot. They're really hoping for a good bit of Wallaby time to turn things around and get some confidence back. But 16 players selected, and Marky Mark is not one of them, which is a very interesting call. I mean, yes, he's going over to the Roosters next year, but I wouldn't, would you think, I wouldn't be hesitating to at least have him in a extended squad of some capacity, given his success at green and gold at a higher level. What's going on?
I mean, first and foremost, I think if, like I mentioned, I reckon this is a sign he plays sevens. This is where they're already starting the process of getting him acclimatized, getting himself to sort of, because everyone thinks you can just go straight from 15 to sevens. You need a few weeks of sort of load and training under your belt. Secondly, I've got thoughts about this entire squad process. This isn't a squad. This is just a training. This is just a train on camp. It's all it is. Like Eddie did it last year. He had players in there like Bernard Foley who didn't make it in the end. James Tuttle again didn't make a Wallaby squad. Like people have looked at this list and overreacted. I understand why. It's the first time we've ever seen anything that's sort of related to a Wallaby squad from Schmidt. We're overreacting, people. Again, people throwing out, Tate Edmonds going to start. Now he's a bolter. He me included. You need to, in a squad of 16, you need 2 10s to actually run training drills and actually get stuff going. Each next best option is in New South Wales. If the squad isn't 60 to 70% Brummies and Reds, and that is very generous, if not the rest going for the Rebels, I'll be stunned. Let's not overlook it. Let's not kind of overthink this and think, all of a sudden, these players are available. Are they the shock ones? No, it's just a training squad. It's really the maybe half dozen players that will make the squad from here to actually, get some game time into them, go from there. Guys like, I've got a list in the SMH in front of me right now. Guys like Jake Gordon, potentially Lane Gleeson, Lalakai Fiketti, Nick White, Ben Donaldson, Isaac Rodder. These sort of players are, probably going to feature. The others, great seasons, but let's not overreact here. Let's not all of a sudden, we've got a bite of something. We've got a little nibble of something. We've all of a sudden want the whole cake. Wait for the squad to come out. We'll come out in the next couple of weeks when sort of Super Rugby wraps up and, all the Australian teams are out. Chill, people. Relax. I get it. We have to get our hot takes off, but guys, this isn't a real squad. It's like Narnia, not real people.
Shutting down all the chat.
Stop having optimism, guys.
Christy would not be happy with you. No, he's enjoying it.
I love clickbait more than the next person. But let's just hold our horses, not overreact. It's not the end of the world, people. Chill.
It is true, though. I do like the names that, even though it is just a training side or a group that has been selected, a squad, whatever it may be. I'm just going to say squad to just mildly irritate you a little bit. I think what I do like are the names that are What's that?
Twitch
Are
guy.
you gonna vomit? He's got the
You're the
Twitch.
Twitch guy. How dare you? How dare you know that? GTS.
No, I know how to really trigger that Twitch. I think the ARU has got some really good. I think
Sorry,
the ARU is made.
I'm sorry. Now I gotta go. Say.
But I do like the names that are actually.
NRC.
Yeah. Well, there's been so many teasers about the NRC in the last couple of days. You can't. I feel like I'm spent just from one mention of 3 words or 4 words in the announcement of a sponsorship, and you made me go wild.
National Club competitions.
Oh, stop! Oh, stop!
Guys,
stop!
I've run socials before. Like sometimes you just miss like right stuff, guys. It's all good. It's coming, but not yet. It's coming, so Nick's not coming.
I'm sorry. I do find it hilarious that like immediately there were a couple of people on Twitter who were like, "What's this national club competition?" And immediately they went, "Nathan J. Williamson, are you responsible for this?" Which did make me laugh.
I don't run those socials, but I understand. I've been there before where you just misword something, or you miss out just one word where you're not thinking that much, or you don't understand that Twitter would probably give multiple limbs to see a national club competition, which I love rugby Twitter. I spend way too much time on it, but again, it's Wallabies, NRC, then everything else underneath, basically. They love it, which again, I understand. But yeah. Sorry, the point you were making. Sorry, it's gone on a complete tangent.
It's because NRC is the best. No, we will happily go on to NRC tangents. You know me. I could talk for 30 hours about the NRC. There's many dropped kickoff podcasts talking about the NRC. But going back to the point is I do like the names that Schmidt has selected here. I think that even though, of course, they may not necessarily wear Wallaby gold this year, I do like the fact that Amatosero is in there, even though it's his first, only had 1 season at the Tars. I think he actually played very, very well. Similarly to Gamble, there are some good players in there, as well as a couple more Western Force players getting picked, like Tizano, who I think is a really good player. He's underrated and underappreciated. Of course, Roddo, who of course hasn't already been a Wallaby, but just good to see a couple more faces in there that, definitely I think if they continue the Australia A program, I'd see them in there and making regular appearances in the Australia A program. There's a lot to be...
I would say, even a guy like Hamish Stewart, Mr. Underrated in Australian rugby, like he's a killer. He's one of the best defensive setters we have in Super Rugby. And a guy like Amatosero, I think a lot of people have fallen victim to thinking he's just going to be scalping straight away. Like he's been good. He's deserved the spot to sort of test himself at the next level, and that's what he's got. So again, in all seriousness, again, if you look at the sort of the train on S word, there's no one there is out of place. It's a good squad. All
right. Well, how about we use this as our random left field question, because we forgot to start the podcast with the left field question. Would, out of the 16 players have picked, more of it's kind of who would you think? Who would you have as the Wallab as someone who would debut this year? And for me, I feel like you were going to say Hamish Stewart probably out of all of them. Would that be the case?
You know what? I'll go for someone different. And again, obviously, this would have to rely on certain injuries in this certain position. Carlo Dozano. I'm a huge Carlo guy.
He's great.
He's got that. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's just got that. Just an absolute rugby nut with that psycho energy. Again, he's just like he's essentially built like and almost like thinks like a South African 7. Obviously, Fraser's your number 1. He's comfortably your number 1. But in terms of your next 7, I would have him. I think he's got some value to offer, and he would step up to that test level.
There are some underrated players in that Force squad that I reckon would be up there. There is some really good talent. It's so annoying that they were so inconsistent week to week, the Western Force, but they are good. I personally, for me, I don't know what it is. It's not going to happen. I don't think Amatosero is going to get in. He's only had 1 year at the Tars, even though he did, clear up in the Northern Hemisphere. But I reckon it's a long shot. It is a long shot, but I'm staying in the loose forwards. I really like Charlie Gamble. I love the dude. He's great. He's a lot of fun. He's physical, and there was a period of time when him and Hooper were playing together, and it was literally like having 2 Michael Hoopers on the field, except one had a filthy mo, and but he seems like just a super cool dude and really physical and passionate about the Waratahs and about that sort of stuff. So I'd get him in. I reckon he would. I would just hope just one cap. Give the boy a cap. It would be cool to see him come on.
He's earned it and can play 6, 7, 8 as well, which is, again, people don't realise as well. He can get pigeonholed as a 7, but he's got good versatility like a Pete Summers. So it's between him and Tizano for that second sort of 7 spot in my eyes. But yeah, both would be deserving of corpse in my eyes.
And so let's move on to, we'll hear from we'll see the rest of the squad soon, ahead of the, when it gets closer to the Wales and Georgia tour. But we've still got Super Rugby Pacific to finish with, and it's now knockout period. It is quarterfinals. We have 4 matches this weekend. And in all honesty, like, listening to all of the folks on Twitter in the Twitter sphere, speaking with people on the Raw, we do have they pay the bills. We do have a situation where I think a lot of people are looking at least 3 out of 4 of those games and being like, we see who's going to win this, and we think they're going to be a win by a landslide. Do we agree that it is as clear cut in terms of who we think are the favourites for these games?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it sucks to say that. I mean, I think Blues draw.
I was really hoping you were going to say no. I was really hoping we were going to have a counter argument on that point.
I will say this. I think people are. I think around the Rebels, people are sort of underestimating what the sort of nothing to lose attitude will have. Ultimately, that's again feels like an oxymoron given their situation, but like you're going to go in there. People have already written you off. They've got so much explosive talent that can take over a game. Guys like your Gordons, your Tupos, your Kellaways. They're fighting for so much. Again, they're not fighting for fun. They're fighting to keep their season. They're sort of club alive. I've watched enough sporting movies to know what that can do for you. And yes, 6 or 7 losses in a row, not ideal form, but they've shown enough in patches. Like you'd all of a sudden go, well, if you get a Hurricane side that might be a little complacent, might be looking towards that sort of semi-final, anything can happen. But ultimately, I think this is pretty clear cut. I think Hurricanes still win. The one that can, and the Reds and Chiefs, I think you're alluding to is the 50-50 game. Is that fair?
Yes, it is. It has to be that one. Not just because of the form of the other top 3 sides that have been going into those ones in terms of the Blues, Canes, and the Brumbies, but just the fact that there's a really good little rivalry developing between these two sides. The Reds, ever since that win in New Plymouth, have just looked like a side that is not just physically able to match up, but when there's the mental game, like the mental side of rugby, and it is clear, so often when you're watching a match like that, an Australian side is mentally just not there with a Kiwi side. I do not feel like that anymore whenever the Reds step out to play the Chiefs. They feel like and believe they can genuinely win, which is like 70% of the battle. I'm not going to lie, because physically they can match up. But I do think they believe that they can win, which is the best feeling ever. It means that we're going to have a great game on the weekend. Friday, rather.
Let's not sort of overlook how big getting that win last earlier in the season was. Like being able to close it out for a young side that's just kind of picked on since. I think this is the biggest test of Les Kiss. Again, it's an obvious statement to make, but I'll explain why. This is the biggest test of where the Reds have gone under Les Kiss, because we've seen similar teams under Brad Thornton go through the regular season looking pretty good, bundling big wins together. But it's ended in the same result as a quarterfinal exit where you look at the roster and go, shouldn't they be getting a bit further? Shouldn't they, at what stage do, these young Reds, which are now, 30, 40 cap players at a Wallaby level, let alone at a Super Rugby level, now starting to actually take that step of being a good Super Rugby side? This has to be that step. You're going to have, I think the record is 0-16 in terms of Australian sides going over to New Zealand and winning finals. This
28 years.
This is the best chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't believe it's ever happened.
Yeah, 28 years. It's the absolute filth. But, also it is important to remember, previously the Hamilton has not also been a happy hunting ground for Australian sides either. But The last win actually came more recently than people expect. It was in 2022, which was the Brumbies that knocked off the Chiefs over at the Tron. So I wouldn't necessarily put it past the Reds actually being able to pull off, some sort of result. I do like some of the squad selections that they've made here. They're going with a pretty strong side, and I know that they made a couple of changes last week, but Kiss is also choosing to pick and stick. He's kind of been picking and sticking with the last couple of wins that he has because he just knows that cohesion and momentum going into these final games is important. And realistically, this is the game that they've probably known. They can't be beaten by the Highlanders and overtaken by the Highlanders, and they can't catch the Chiefs. So they've probably had their eye on this one for a while, but also again ditto the Chiefs on this game because it's the side of the ladder that is completely locked in. No Vunivalu as well, which is...
We got the junkyard dog. That's all we need.
Yeah, I know.
we sort of spoke on Bolters before. Like, don't be surprised to see the name Mac Greeley in a Wallaby squad. I know they're huge on Mac Greeley. And, I know, even 2 or 3 years ago when he had, I think it was a breakout game against the Blues. I know Rennie then was actually keen to get him involved in the squad in some capacity. There's big raps on that kid. And people will look for speed and just, your Tools, your Lancasters, your Peaches, Markies, these type of people. Don't be surprised to see Mac Greeley named. I would say he's just him and Tim Ryan are a perfect combination. You've got that out and out speed, but you've got a real sort of solid rock, almost Les Kiss reincarnated on another wing, both playing rugby union, in Mac Greeley. Combine that with Jock Campbell at the back, and it's a real steady, solid back three that, Tim Ryan will blow you away, but Mac and Jock will just break you down. I think it more suited to final style than past back threes the Reds have had, where it's been a bit more kind of rely on your explosive, live by the sword, die by the sword attitude.
Yeah, and on topics of players to commend, I have been absolutely impressed by the recruitment of GTA Jeffrey Tamonga-Allen and Alex Hodgman. I think they have been phenomenal this season. Throw in Penny Ravi into the mix as well, even though he's not playing this weekend. I think that the recruitment by Kiss this season has been excellent in terms of just addressing some of the key faults, adequately replacing the talent loss, that someone like Tupou did provide, when he departed. And even if it all goes pear-shaped this weekend and they go down, I think if you are a Queensland fan, you have a lot to look forward to. With the guidance of Les Kiss. Not only that, that's the actual organisation itself has transformed itself in the last 7 or 8 years into, not just having the fact that they've got Ballymore and one of the most probably the most financially secure Super Rugby franchise, probably the only one.
Pretty close,
from an Australian perspective, but the fact that they've held on to this talent and it is coming through really, really well, and they have a really smart rugby brain in Kiss who is there. And so even if I think, if you can push, I reckon this is I'd still tip the Chiefs to win this game, but it's going to be a thriller. I reckon it's going to come down to less than a try. It is going to be a no fingernails left, on the edge of your seat classic. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen this weekend.
I think I was going through the stats today, and I think the last 6 games between these two sides have been decided by 9 or less. It's just built to bring classic. And if you're the Reds, you'll also always have that Harry Wilson excuse of, if we had Harry, we would have been better. And, fair enough, he's an absolute gun. But, one point I want to make him a props as well is they copped a lot of shit for that to start the year. There was a lot of people that were saying, is our front row stock not good enough? Why are you going overseas? Why are you bringing in 2 experienced Kiwis? It was shrewd business from them. So I think that deserves credit on that regard with, people have talked enough shit about it in the start and don't, when it all works out, goes, cool, it worked out. But it backed up for them. And even if the Reds go out in the quarterfinal, they've got a game against Wales in next month.
Yeah.
They've got a Tonga. They've set themselves up very well to just be like, all right, well, if this isn't the year, cool, we're going to expose ourselves to some high-level competition. Just go from there.
Yeah, they're planning really, really well. It was kind of similar. I mean, like when the Force did their series against the Cheetahs and they did a couple of other games as well. I was like, this is what you should be doing. More of this stuff post, the Super Rugby season. It's so awesome to see the Reds doing that, and more, please. If anyone at the QRU is listening, like this, it's even we're not from Queensland and we want to see more. Like that's like more of this sort of stuff. I think it's a brilliant idea. Also, how can you hate Jeffrey Tamonga Allen? There is nothing to dislike about that man. He's
seems like such a good bloke.
So like we had him on the Raw Rugby podcast. Oh, sorry, we don't promote other podcasts on this channel. Name redacted. But like the dude, like literally, here's a social media point that I have to make. This is just me talking with my social media brain for a minute. Like you always usually have to ask people to share like the podcast, or if you do a piece of content or an interview with someone, you you tag them and you share them and you hope that they share it. The dude did it on his own. He went and found the interview that we did with him and shared it on his own, and then was like, yeah, I'm going to promote the hell out of this, which is just like 2%ers or the 1%ers that are like, that dude's cool. I like him.
Real basic stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, other stuff like that. Another thing that left, again, we're going down tangents. Another thing that leaves an impression on me as someone like that does a lot of interviews, someone that should afterwards goes, oh, thanks. Like, hey, if you need to like tool my quotes up or whatever, just like go for it. It's fine. Like, when it's that idea of no journalist is going to try and make you sound dumb. So like, yeah, it's simple stuff like that being like, it makes such a difference. But I think enough Reds glazing for now. I've got a confession to make about the Brumbies. Is this a safe space? Yes or no?
Yeah. Well,
it's not. I'm nervous about Saturday.
You're nervous about Saturday, about the Brumbies?
I'm nervous about the Brumbies, and nothing in their form has told me that I should be. But I have this fear, and it just comes to the usual final system where for this entire actually Pacific Rugby Pacific concept in the past 3 years was that it feels like with every big moment where it's been Super Round or it's been like finals last year, we've got to a point where we've gone, shit, we need the Brumbies to win. Everyone else has lost. I think this is, let's face it, this is setting up to be the exact same. I think the Rebels are like 25-point underdogs, the Reds 11. I'm concerned that all of a sudden we're going to get to the finals next week and be no Australian teams. And like this Brumbies side is better than last year's. I will say that I can't be better than last year's. I just can't get that concern out of my head. I don't know what it is. I just can't get that concern out. Nick, as a Brumbies loyalist, please tell me I'm an idiot. Please tell me that I'm overthinking this. Come on.
I mean, like, look, it's in my heart and in my gut to tell you that you're an idiot, but I mean, I've felt those feelings before. Like, talk me through this gut feeling. Talk me through exactly, seeing as I have had these gut feelings before, like, what exactly is it that you are worried about in regards to the Brumbies? Because, I mean, the squads, if we talk squads, I think the Brumbies have the better squad. Also, they have the better record over the Highlanders, including 2 wins. I mean, they've won their last 3 on the trot against the Highlanders, 2 of those games in Dunedin, and they're playing in Canberra, and the Brumbies have only lost in Canberra 3 times since the start of Super Rugby Pacific. So what exactly is it that you're like, but I am worried?
Because I'm an Australian rugby fan. That's why I'm worried. Too many lingering scars. And like you're right, this Brumbies side is better than the Highlander side. Like there's no lower Sea looks a much more calmer and controlled player since his time in France. Tom Wright has got the howls out of his game and is playing probably over the last sort of 6 to 10 games the best sort of run of any player in Super Rugby right now. Charlie Cow coming back in is such a huge threat, particularly as a line-out jumper and everything else. Like Billy Pollard's has, fixed up their scrum to an extent. Like I just have that concern. I always will. Like the Highlanders are a team that can have a lot of explosive outside backs with like Jimmy the Jet, Tamoki Tanavani. I can't pronounce names. I'm terrible with it.
Yeah, Tanavani. Yeah, you got it.
And Radamuki Nitkins. Like,
yeah.
They're 2 explosive guys. They're great. Yeah, they're awesome to watch. A young half in Cam Miller as well, who is being thrown to his first finals. But the Brumbies should win. I would still tip the Brumbies to win. I just have that lingering theory that because I've been burnt too many times before. I'm getting it to Saturday night at 10 p.m. going, oh shit, how do I turn this? I've got 2 weeks to cover New Zealand sides in Super Rugby finals. Shit, what am I going to do?
How am I gonna like? We'll have that dreaded like looking out the window, going, "Why am I doing this again?" And that that dreaded feeling.
That just might be from personal scars, and my therapist will hear about that later. But it's one of those things. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I hope again this Brumby side has more talent than the Highlander side. And this thing, I think this is their best. I've said it from the start. This is their best shot to win a title. I think I even picked them back in Feb. This is a great side. I need them to get over this hurdle to have that confidence that they'll be like, all right, if they have to go to New Zealand, they can knock off a Blues or a whoever, the Blues or a Hurricanes. I think it would be Blues if they win. I need to just see that confidence in them.
Yeah, I think. Look, I do get the concern. It's interesting to note that the last couple of times these two sides have played, the Highlanders have actually asked a lot of good questions of the Brumbies. And they've been pretty high-scoring affairs. Like, I think the last time they played in Canberra, it was like 48-32. It was like 80 points plus scored.
Something stupid like that.
Like, defense truly went out the window. I also think that if you are a Highlanders fan, I think you should be really happy with how this season has gone, considering where they started. There were the ugly duckling of the Kiwi side. So one team has to be, and for some reason this year the Crusaders were, and they've broken that duck against the Kiwi sides. There's a lot of really good talent coming through, and it's a side that doesn't have as many All Blacks as well. I mean, I can see the Jamie Joseph influence rubbing off, but I also think it's been the improvement of the coach of Clark Debity as well. I think it looks like he's matured a little bit as a coach this season, probably under that guidance of Joseph, but shoot credit where it's due. And I can see as well that if there's two places that I think the Highlanders definitely have the Brumbies number is in the front row with the likes of Jermaine Ainsley and Ethan de Groot, particularly coming up against, that Harry Vella. Harry Vella is it's going to be a big step up for him, even though he has impressed.
Huge
Slipper. I mean, Slipper is would be a lot. If you had Slipper or Shoop in there, I would say that you've got someone who at least can meet up to that international level of Ethan de Groot. But I can understand that there would be a little bit of concern if you lose dominance of the scrum. Then it's a massive impact on the game. Also, the fact that just Folau Fakatava has just been on fire this season. He has been phenomenal. Top 10 player across the whole competition for me. I think he's really pressing a case for to be at least in the consideration for Razor with the All Blacks. So I get it. I get your concerns. I see it. I have kind of been adopting this new approach with this sort of stuff because in a similar headspace, I have been burned as well. And maybe I'm just feeling it a little bit more with the Brumbies and the Reds, just because both those sides have been winning more than they've been losing this season. But it comes from a place of when you're in a game like this where you are favourites to win or whatever, just having trust and faith that they know what they're doing and that they're going to deliver the result. If I have faith that they're going to do it, then they probably will. And that has just been a mindset change as a fan that has just helped me so much in terms of just trusting in that they know what they're doing. If they trust, if I can see that they clearly have a structure and a trust in plan, even when the Brumbies have been behind, like against the Reds, or I think they were behind against the Waratahs in one of their games. At halftime, I just went, no, I trust that they're going to win this game. I know that they're going to win this game because of how they implement stuff in the second half, what they sort of do, what sort of strategies they have in place. And they do. They have done that. The only games that they've been genuinely blown off the park and been shit was against the Chiefs and Blues, which is why I'm more worried about next week. But it's been a better mindset to put myself into, just going like, you know what? I trust that the Reds have a plan to tackle the Chiefs. And I trust that they're really going to make a game of it and really know how they can shut the Chiefs down and win the game. I trust that the Brumbies have an ability to beat the Highlanders because what they can do, they do very, very well. Rebels, on the other hand, I like six games lost on the trot. You've never won at the Cake Tin. The last time you beat the Hurricanes was in your inaugural season. All of that stuff, the numbers build up, and that like it increasingly, I'm just going, it's a increasingly a bridge too far in that particular regard. But if a side is playing well, I trust them to be able to do the job.
Okay. Well, I think what you've just heard from me, and I like, you can tell I'm a Waratahs fan. I've dealt with this too much. I've dealt with this too much of this games being close or plans. I think that's what it is. I think this is what it's been healthy for me. It's been healthy for me. And I know Brumbies fans have been listening to this being like, oh, you raved about the Reds for 5 or 10 minutes, and now you just said we might lose. I still think this Brumbies side can win at the title. I still think I need to say convincing. I want to say convincing win. It's not a need. I want to say convincing win. Like, I mean, I think that the Brumbies and Reds are on two different levels. Like, the Reds are a good side. I think the Brumbies are a great side. I said those past losses that you mentioned too, the sort of Blues and Hurricanes. Blues and Chiefs. Sorry. Like, I think we saw enough in that Hurricanes win to show that this team is peaking at the right time. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I want to see that big performance out of them. You know, it's one of those things. You just, a lot of stock is put on the Australian side, and you want to see just, there's so many good players in that side. You want to see them really sort of explode and take game over. And that's where my thoughts come from. Like, for the Reds, I feel like this is a bit, probably 60-40 Chiefs. I would be ecstatic if they can get up, and I think they have the game plan that can do it. The Rebels, I mean, you talk about being the first time they would win. I haven't won since their inaugural year. Like, what a way to bookmark their existence by doing it in the first and last. But yeah, Brumbies have to be the hope, and maybe sometimes you just put too much hope into it in a place where, I want to just see that confidence now that I've put an interesting season behind me as a Waratahs fan, first and foremost, before even talking about job-wise.
Yeah, well, it would also be appropriate for this season for suddenly there to be a surprise in finals, and I would consider it a massive success.
That's what concerns me.
No, but I mean, like, I'm talking about the right kind of surprise, Nathan.
Yeah,
I'm talking about that we suddenly see two Australian sides in semis. Which, if the Reds have a plan, is not necessarily outside the realm of possibility. And if the Brumbies, are favourites for that, they're favourites for that game, and they trust and have an ability to put that Highlanders side away, then that is also realistically a possibility. And of course, the rest of you trust the Hurricanes to get over the line in. At the Cake Tin at home, they've got a good run, potentially to a home grand final, and considering that they've got depth coming out of their ears. Similarly, the Blues. We haven't talked about the Blues Drua game, which we'll use that as the way to round off the podcast. But I will say that even though you might be going into enemy territory, I'd consider that a big, massive growth on what's on previous seasons, which we have seen throughout the regular season with more wins and more results, but. Yeah, I think regardless, there is still a lot to be positive about, and it is a genuine possibility. I think the Reds can win that game. It's a genuine possibility.
One final thought on the Reds. I do wonder if the Chiefs' schedule over the past couple of weeks will sort of have will take some kind of toll on them as they get later towards the season. Like, you play the two best sides in the competition in Blues and Hurricanes. Like, they're no easy beats. Like, you've been pushed all the way and got beat. The Reds, on the other hand, have essentially on both occasions been able to, well, not really so against the Waratahs, but they've been able to build leads and sort of take players off. They were coming a lot fresher, even though the Reds are the ones doing the travelling. But if there's an upset, I'm hoping it's the Reds. I'm still, sometimes I have to speak stuff out. Now they've spoken it out. Now we've sort of gone through it. I'm still confident the upset comes. The most likely spot for the upset comes with the Reds and Chiefs, but again. I've been burnt before, but yeah, the Blue getting onto the Blues Drua game, like, Fiji have to come out and just stun them. Like, Stephen Marcy has to be that guy. He has to just blitz them and hope for the best and just get on that run. But man, this Blue side looks good. I think it flies under the radar a little bit, but it's just there's no weaknesses to it that I can find.
Yeah, I will say that even though it has been, I think it is realistic to say that I think that the Canes and Blues, given where they finished in the finals series this year, are probably favourites to make the grand final. It is strange to think that if the Drua were to break their losing streak, it would be against the Blues at Eden Park, which is insane given the record that they have. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Drua right now, it's such a Jekyll and Hyde side at the moment on the road. They clearly have the talent to beat any side at home. They're a team possessed, and it just feels like a completely different side that travels out. But at some point they're going to come good on the road, and when they do, they're going to completely take this competition by storm. When they do, but I don't see it happening at this current point this weekend. And in the event that it is the end of the Melbourne Rebels this weekend, it's I hope that, against all hope, that they really make a game of it. If they somehow manage to pull off a big performance, it would be fantastic to see that. But I mean, I'll definitely go in Canes in that one. I think they'll be heavy favourites for that match at the Cake Tin, but you never know. And it would be a sad way to go. It would be sad to think that just when they had made finals for the first time ever, it's the end of the road. But who knows? We said we were worried about the Western Force several years ago, and lo and behold, they found a way to come back. So it is strange times. Who knows, Nathan Williamson? Who knows? But
never say never. Never say never.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think that'll wrap us up for an episode of the Dropped Kickoff. I think it's time for us to go relax. I know that my dad has just finished the steak. I know it's been cooking. He was prepping it before I jumped in, and now I can smell the fact that he's cooked it. So we're going to enjoy this beautiful steak, have a nice glass of wine, and get ready for quarterfinals. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for checking us out. Thank you so much for following the Green and Gold Rugby channels after all these years. We do really appreciate it. It is a hell of a lot of fun, and we do love staying in touch with the Gagga channel. Once a member of Gagga, always a member of Gagga. Please drop us a review. If you're enjoying this show, leave us a review. Drop us a 5-star thing. Alternatively, drop on YouTube. You can watch us be on YouTube, and you can enjoy the fact that there was a random cut there earlier, and you didn't, and nobody saw it. But on YouTube, you'd be able to see exactly where it was. So who knows?
You can see the entire 3 minutes while I'm waiting for Nick's power to come back on, where I start rambling towards the camera. It's great.
Yeah, I know.
And hey, even if you didn't like it, hate review. We'd love those too.
Hate reviews. Yeah, tell us that we're part of the apparatchik. Tell us that we're part of the rugby germ that ruins everything. It feeds our souls.
It's just propaganda, Nick. That's it.
Yeah, they've got us. They've got us nailed down. All of those folks nailed down.
It's almost like Rugby Australia pays me. Jeez.
But anyway, to all of our listeners, thank you so much, and we'll catch you the next time round. It's quarterfinals time.